Let's get into some Q&A, and we haven't done that for a while. I'll see what I can pull out. It is random. There are a load of questions from previous weeks that I will eventually get through, so bear with me if I don't answer your question. Are there any countermeasures for directed energy weapons? Not to my knowledge. Those should be space-based, only pointing away from the planet, not towards. Whose station was blown up on the dark side of the moon? No idea. Plus operational. Is there any possibility of returning this planet to its original pristine 3-moon pre-fash condition? We can reverse the desertification of the planet, yes. We can reverse a lot of things. As for the 3 moons, I don't particularly like the 1 moon we've got, being quite honest, given the damage that's caused to humanity and other beings over many thousands of years. Are there any plans? I don't normally discuss plans, but let's see. Afoot projects in the pipeline to recreate the conditions. Well, like I said, we have the technology and the wherewithal to change the deserts back to the oasis that they once were. The moons are not coming back. Neither do we want them. Not at this time, anyway. I suspect or expect that such an undertaking would be dependent upon humanity clearing up our act, absolutely, and in a fit state to not muck it up going forward. Again, absolutely. We have to get our act together, as will become clear later on. With us being tasked with offering suggestions and or creating a new tax structure, would we need the relevant data on what it takes to operate currently? The new tax structure has already been done. It was done by Kim, I and the team last autumn, and was filed as a bill in January. So that's already been done. We await. Thomas mentioned that those with buzzing in their ears will have noticed the volume increase. Yes, I did. My electric static buzzing sound is louder. What is it caused by, and can we expect more bumps in the volume? It's the frequency coming in, particularly in the right ear. The left ear is more what I would describe as downloads. But the right ear, given the frequencies of the past month, or the frequency increase, people may have noticed. Not all. And that's not something to worry about if you hear it or you don't either. So, if you have people like Malema in South Africa arranging killings of the farmers behind the scenes, can we report them to the Galactic Council? We've had this question several times. No. Why? Because it's a human-to-human problem. The Galactic Council are not there to fix our problems. The problem is us. It really is. If sufficient people rose up in South Africa and says, we're not accepting this, no matter what colour you are, the problem ends. But it's always somebody else's issue, and someone else has to fix it. If people are being killed in your community, it's up to the whole community to come together and to stop it. Make the government tell the government, we're not accepting your type of violence or whoever else is involved in it. But we can't keep asking galactic councils, because that's just essentially asking to be parented again. We've had enough of that. We have to stand on our own 2 feet. So, no is the answer to that question. Are beings that maintain the simulation the reason for some of the fun and games on humanity? There is no simulation. It's an illusion. The only ones that are in a simulation is the ones that believe they are. Everybody else are not. Are we for time? Okay. As being relatively new to this group, and having my mind stretched and eyes opened in ways I could never imagine, and confused about who what Trump is. I've read reference to him being a white hat, but really, if there's a past episode that would answer this, please point the way. At the end of the day, and I've said this all along, if Trump does the right thing for and by the people, I will support him. If he's not, like evidence of nuclear spacecraft, which is beyond ridiculous, then I will call it out. The reality is we cannot trust any politician. History tells you that. Until we see evidence that a certain politician or a certain group of politicians is prepared to operate for and by the people. And that trust has to be earned over time. And so, is he a white hat? I don't know. There'll be more on Trump later. The Draco are depicted in reliefs in just about every form, including humans, but very rarely in their own form. Why is this? So they don't get discovered, is why. You have mentioned that people sold their souls and they are contained in the quantum system. It would be interesting to hear more about that aspect. And do you care to share any more details about the people who did that and what they got out of it? And care to name some names? As regards as naming names, most of the famed people are part of it. Do I know individual ones? Not necessarily. Over time, some of those will be returned. Some of them are far too damaged to be returned. They will go back to source. That is how I understand it and how it was relayed to me. Where are we next? What is the political and evolutional relationship between the Greys and the Draco? The Greys were slaves. All of them. What is the status of the Greys if the Draco Queen is legit, a positive thing, and the Mantid standing down? The status is they are now free. Same as us. They're just as pleased as we are. Did the Greys get pinched off existence when the timelines emerged? It depends on which Greys you're referencing. There are several. Just read a frightening article off Facebook. A Canadian woman described how a company called One World Order is busy installing onto existing 5G towers directed energy weapon robot devices that link directly into mains electricity, According to her, it's only happening in the largest 100 cities. The owners of the company is no surprise, Bowers, which is Rothschild. And if this is correct, it seems Agenda 21 hasn't died a natural death, and the intention is to French fry the inhabitants of these cities just like California, but on steroids. Is there anything you have heard about it, and should we consider this information as a warning? It depends on who said it. I've not heard that at all. Like I mentioned earlier about issues in Canada, there's an awful lot of programmed alt media entities that have no idea what they're saying. They're just reading out scripts. Most of it fear-based. Agenda 21, that's not happening. That's not happening. Or 2030 either. Where are we next? Couple more. What's your take on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth? I did read them a while ago. There's some interesting bits that we can garner information that would be beneficial to us. But you have to remember, it's their story. Like the Bible, it's their story, not ours. And so the victors write their story. But there is some things that can be garnered from it that can give people a better understanding of what went on. Thomas, confirmed by one of our California group members, they are mining Paradise, California area for gold. Is this too late? Too little, too late to keep the clowns in the game? Yeah. And this is what we warned of why they did it. Back last year, the SSP were the ones that set the fires. They also created the earthquake in Alaska. And yeah, we've got those same clowns doing that conference that I mentioned earlier this week, who are advocates for the SSP. Like I said, no one questions those type of people, do they? Funny that. What impact does music have on soul development? It can do a lot. Should I be concerned with my love affair of heavy metal? Well, it's never bothered me too much. Although I do listen to other music. I think there's elements of the heavy metal. There's a lot of variants. I like the rock ballads type. Like the Stargazer and the Whitesnake and the Rainbow. Rock ballads in Aerosmith. With Dream On and Dio, with some of his rock ballads, Guns N' Roses, November Rain, Estranged, rather than the heavy ass stuff that comes out of Metallica, apart from that one album. Thrash metal, death metal, no thanks. It's not for me. But yes, it appears that the classical music has most effect on soul development. And if you play classical music to an unborn child, it makes them develop faster, as I understand. And calmer. You mentioned keeping cash on hand as of late due to the instability of banks. Yes, that is a must. What are your thoughts on gold and silver? Well, gold and silver is the only real money on this planet. The pieces of paper are not real. They're classed as real, but they're not. So, yes, keep all the gold and silver also. One more. Maybe not. Regarding the patents, I'm under the impression that Serco, owned by the Crown, has them. Well, the Crown's owned by the Trust, so they can think whatever they like, and know they're not getting their hands on them. And the Trust will release some of them when it's safe to do so. Right, final one. Who is behind Netanyahu's guiding light? Netanyahu's got nothing to do with light ever. He's a psychopath, to be quite honest. You know, and the people of that country need to get him out before he kills more of his own people than others. And quite why Trump is pussyfooting around them is beyond me.